Hello and welcome to this feature of Creatives Hacking Corona. And we are looking at how creatives really are coping amidst this situation. And for us, one very central thing is a concept of narrative. In every time of crisis, there's also a time that people are thriving. So we were very curious about, are there people that are actually thriving at this time of Corona? Are there people that are not only not suffering, but have actually been able to use it as an opportunity to really improve themselves? And so we will be meeting some creatives who've been able to do quite well at this time, that we may be able to learn from them. And I hope that we are all able to learn from some of the lessons that they give, because I know that not everyone is doing well right now, because for us it's about making sure that everyone in the community is doing well. So join us as we talk to our fellow peeps.
Imekuwaje vipi? Umekuwa mbaya hivi? Mgomo huwa wa
So back to what we're talking about, which is Kenyan creatives hacking Corona. And for us, very central to this is the concept of narrative and how one can either buy into the dominant narrative or one can create a narrative for themselves. And for me, having studied with creatives, looked at creatives, been a creative all this time, I think that our biggest power as creatives is really our power to create new narratives, even at a time when the dominant narrative is so strong. So right now, the biggest narrative is that Corona means unemployment, it means brokenness, it means poverty, it means job loss, it means disease, death, and doom and gloom. But then the reality is that within every time of crisis, there are people who manage to thrive in that time. I got that concept from a talk that I attended. There's a South African guy, he came to Kenya, I think it was last year. He was doing like a tour around the continent, a young guy in his 20s, and he was talking about Forex and trying to introduce people around the continent to Forex. And he said something that was not politically correct, but still it stayed with me and has never left. And he said that, he told guys, like, guys, do you know that during the time of apartheid, there were black people who became millionaires? There were black people who thrived financially. And that was like mind-blowing for me, because when you think of apartheid, and on that, you just think of, the freedom songs and everything. And of course, it was very important that people were fighting and were on the streets doing that. But is that in every time you have the opportunity, you can decide for yourself, in this time, in this story, where do I fit in? Is my story the story of suffering? Is my story the story of victory? And guess what? You have the power to create your story. So for me, that's the whole mind-blowing thing that's been on my mind all this time. So the people that we meet in this time are people who are giving us such mind-blowing stories, stories that are making us think, stories that make us go like, oh my gosh, actually I don't have to accept this story of gloom and doom, that actually something is possible. So it is 5 particular people that we were very lucky to talk to. They were very kind and gracious. They hosted us in their houses. We had best time ever with the crew. And so one is a writer, and what's very interesting about him and what he's doing is that he's riding on the season, on the political season. He said, we are 2 years to elections. Politicians need their stories written. The digital age means that everyone is now online, so there has to be content for them. So he decided that in this season, I'm going to target politicians. And so he talked to politicians, political parties. Right now, he's writing their book. So you're going to hear more about that. And for me, it was very important that wherever you are as a creative, figure out what season are you in. How can I position myself in this particular season such that my product or my service is useful to someone out there? So that was a very big, very key one. Hi everyone, and welcome to this discussion with myself, Kingwa Kamenchu, and the writer Tony Mochama, who joins us today. Karibu sana, Tony.
Yes, thank you very much, KK. Yeah, I call you that because of the great affection I have for you, having known you for like 20 years. So it's just a delight, to be speaking with you, our Kingwa.
Thank you. Yes. And Tony is so lovely and awesome. He made us breakfast. So that's me, I'm embarrassing you. But so how has COVID been for you so far?
Yeah, I know this sounds a bit perverse, but I've personally enjoyed this period.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been a chance to disengage from being nocturnal.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm a very nocturnal person.
Yes, yes.
We have the books Nairobi Night Runner, and you have the T-shirt.
So why are you no longer nocturnal?
It's 9 p.m. curfew.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and that has also enabled us, like to wake up at, our 3 a.m.s and do our writing without too many hangovers.
Yeah.
So for me, it's been a period of clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I'm sure it has been for a lot of people, away from, the mainstream medicinal sort of a suffering that it has caused.
Wow.
But you asked about for me.
Yeah.
I don't like COVID,
Yeah.
but I like the clarity
Wow.
that this period is bringing.
Yeah, that's really powerful, and I completely get it. I also feel like it's been a very interesting period that it's forced me sort of like get myself together. Like I don't have the lethargy and the sort of like lethargy and apathy of usual time. I think I feel like there's a sense of urgency that is given to me because of just really what's happening. But one thing that we've been talking about is the concept of narrative, and so there's the individual narrative and there's a wider narrative. And one thing that the COVID narrative is the narrative of illness, unemployment, brokenness, and gloom and doom. And I spoke to a cinematographer, Papa actually, who's over here, and he's the first person
I thought you were saying Papa Shirandu, and that he's over here.
Rest in peace.
I was like, we're in the sixth sense. Yeah.
Like
I see dead
metaphysical.
people.
No, he's not a guy yet.
Yeah.
But one thing that he challenged me to think about was the idea of alchemy, and especially metaphysical, alchemical thinking, whereby you turn mud into gold. And the idea that there's a dominant narrative and you can either buy into it, which a lot of, I guess the whole world has bought into it, but we asked ourselves, but are there actually people who have been able to create a new narrative for themselves? And that's why we reached out to you and to other creatives who've been able to just find a footing and not be part of that narrative of suffering and doom and problems and I am broke and I am dying kind of story. So, and I was really excited that you wrote back to me and you just were very happy and generous to share your story. So maybe you could tell us some more about what you've been doing during this COVID time and in a way that you've made it a time for you to thrive rather than to simply survive, in quotes.
That's good poetry. A time to thrive, not just a time to survive. I can see the starting line of some Tungwa poem. But I like what you said about creatives are already mad. M-A-D, I know you meant mad, M-U-D, into gold.
Yes.
But what creatives normally do is actually to turn mad into gold.
Wow.
Yeah? What is considered.
Wow.
Being an artist, of course, means often going against the grain.
Yes.
And seeing, you see, like we're in a pseudo-apocalyptic world.
Wow.
Yeah, right now. It's like those movies, there's disease on the street. If you come out after curfew, one day Uhuru and Raila, when they're doing those midnight raids, they'll come across COVID-19 zombies and so on. So it's that sort of...
There's a whole book waiting to be written.
Yeah, well, this is the period. We are saying, there's this virus and... Yeah, it's zombie time,
It
not
is.
the miguna.
It is. We've all been hypnotized that things are bad, things are terrible. We're all dying. Unemployment, poverty, brokenness.
So the first thing, personally, just like I did with the book Road to Eldoret, was I did finish a book of short stories about COVID, or rather I'm in the process in another 2 weeks, but I've done a number of short stories, just like the Road to Eldoret during post-election violence. But post-election violence, it's because I really thought I was much younger. That was 12 years ago.
Okay.
12 years ago. But at the time I thought, after watching too many Rwanda movies, I did think that Kenya might be ending.
Wow.
So I was writing, in quite a young way, that, I'll create one book, in case, we are all killed.
Wow.
Of course, we only ended up with 1,000 dead, which was a lot.
I like only.
Yeah? No, only 1,000 in terms of,
I get
countries like Rwanda that had 1 million. For every Kenyan who died, Rwandese, 1,000
Yeah, the numbers were minimal in comparison.
Yes. So it was a terrible time.
It was.
But this COVID era, I hope none of us catches COVID. I'm not thinking, we are going to.
Yeah.
But there's that.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there was already something else going on. there was the politics. The politics is in high gear. Yeah, Mzee Moi died, and Moi's timing has always been excellent. Always. Mzee Moi timed his death to perfection. He died a month before COVID. All other wazees had to die starting March. Yeah, Mzee left us. Yeah, right in February. And
see ya, guys.
Yeah. Hasta la vista. Yeah, I'll see you in heaven. Yeah, with him he's probably in heaven. Drinking, free Nyayo milk. Yeah.
That used to give out karma. That is karma.
Yeah, that is karma. Yeah, but it's a good karma. And so even during this period, so it wasn't that during the time of Corona, it was already a time, I thought at the time, I actively thought, Mzee Moi has gone. KANU is there. The party is there. When the baton was being passed on, or the rungu, to his son Gideon. I thought this party has been around since 1960. It's still there. Now it's even become part of government again. So I thought, it's time. Somebody just told like a political story. Yeah. So this was just before COVID was starting in early March, because it's their 60th year. So I approached a very wonderful gentleman. He's called Khan. Khan of KANU.
The alliteration.
Yes,
Khan of KANU. Khan.
Yeah. And
open the doors.
Introduced me to one of their director of programming. It's called Toet, and one of their brain boxes called Joshua. So with these three gentlemen, we approached the Konrad Adenauer Society, because they're very interested in things like political parties. And we said, why can't we tell the story of the oldest political party in Kenya? Because KANU has always just been there since when it was Chama, when it was the Party for Freedom in terms of independence. It swallowed KADU. I'm sure you remember maybe your parents saying, "Hii ni chama cha baba na mama." Yeah. When we say that these days, chama cha baba na mama, it was our parents' party, but it's still there. Yeah. So what was all that story about? Oh, KANU ya jenga nchi. Oh, KANU ya jenga nchi. Yeah. So that was the idea in terms of. For me, Mzee Moi became a muse posthumous.
That is so powerful. And it's, now again, just what you're bringing in about how you saw the opportunities in this time of COVID. And when we spoke on the phone, one thing that I saw was that I noticed that you laid emphasis on was the season. And season is one very key thing in terms of the entrepreneurship cycle, in terms of making money, surviving/thriving. And you said something about that the next 2 years is the season for politics, and you as a writer, you have something to add you can add value.
Yes. When one is younger, there's a tendency just to be romantic. Yeah. Like, you write. I did my poetry books romantically, which was good. I don't regret. Yeah. But over the last 10 years, Kingo, I've come to see that if you want to make it as a writer, because I'm a lawyer by training, and I used to be very worried, especially as a man, and I hope I'm not being gender insensitive. I don't know if women feel this pressure, but I used to wonder. Now I've given up the law. Yeah, but I don't want to be in my WhatsApp group. The cliche, oh, look at that poor writer. And I mean that even material. Yeah, because we were with Nelson, Al Harvey, our most successful people in terms of, there's the Law Society of Kenya, classmate and good friend. Kathy Kilonzo used to drink with her throughout campus. People like...
we can edit that if it becomes too poor. I don't know what she's like.
No, she's now, of course, she's very respectable.
Oh, yeah, so no, I'm saying the drinking part.
No, we don't know. I don't. I'm saying she's a clever person.
Absolutely.
Yes, and you saw what she did with petitions.
Absolutely.
And what happened to her as they punished her.
Absolutely.
And her brother took the mantle.
Yeah.
People like Moria, we say Dano has become the multi-millionaire in our group.
Wow.
But
What's his name?
James Moria. Centum.
Centum?
Yes.
He's a lawyer? I had no idea.
Yes. He was a classmate.
Oh my gosh.
And a good friend.
Like that's a whole other book.
Yes.
The class of 90?
In fact, him, 2001.
Okay.
We used to go with him to Size for rock.
Wow.
Yeah. But even then, he was running like a small petrol station in Meru.
Wow.
Yeah, on the side. Yeah. From his farming background.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you don't want to be, there are these 100 people, then they say the cliche. Wow. They say, this guy, you become the story for.
Wow.
This guy refused to do law. Yeah. And, 20 years later, people are like, yeah, you're used as a cautionary tale. You became the broke writer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because that's so cliche.
Wow.
Like you are the musician.
Wow.
You want to be like nameless.
Wow.
Yeah. You're an architect.
Bro, yeah.
You're an architect, but you did your, if you followed your passion.
Wow.
Yeah,
and you are the best.
You don't want to become a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
So that always, I think, requires like a lot of timing.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've learned.
Okay.
And I'm unapologetic about.
Wow.
So, this thing that we say we are gifted with, the muse,
Yeah.
I always say it's a demon. Yeah? And if you don't discipline that demon, if you don't discipline it, and I use that word,
Wow.
it will destroy you. It's dancing with the devil.
Wow.
Look at what he did to, my friend Potash, one of the most creative people.
Genius.
I knew him from Starehe.
Wow.
The guy for Nairobi Half-Life.
Yes.
Yeah? It's eaten him and reduced him to an urchin. And I can understand that downward trajectory. I can understand the descent.
Okay. How do you understand it?
It's because the better you are at channeling life, which involves often a lot of pain.
Wow.
Yeah? It's part of the gift. If you can channel,
Wow.
if you can enter those worlds to create them,
Wow.
the better you do it, it means you have really absorbed a lot of the pain. Yeah? The angst, the whatever it is. And it can drain you. Yeah?
It's very undemanding.
Yes.
Like it's very demanding. Not
Yes.
it does not. It demands 100%.
Yes. Yeah. Unless you're a hack. If you're a hack, you're safe. Yeah. But they say, like accountants, who people say are the most boring people in the world.
Yeah.
But there's that output, and people see it. And then they say, oh, this person, they're so crazy. Why do they take alcohol, or why do they commit suicide with poets and so on?
Yeah. Why are they always on sex and drugs?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know about the sex part, Maybe that's the good part, yeah.
Okay.
But, yes, there is a taking in. To be good.
Yeah.
So sometimes the better you are at it.
Wow.
And I think that explains why so many artists have those type of ends.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of them. It's because...
historically. It's not a new story.
Yeah. Ward Hemingway,
Wow.
Ernest Hemingway, you have won the Nobel Prize, you have money. People always think like that. They always think, oh, the money and so on or whatever, or you don't have a disease that's, you're not killing yourself.
Yeah.
Why? It's because of that pain absorption.
Wow.
To be good at your craft.
Okay.
So it's a dangerous beast.
It is.
Yeah. The Russians say, you're dancing, keep dancing with the devil, but be careful, because one day, like salsa, it will put you in a position to feast on you.
So how did you get over that? How did you manage to? Because I've observed you. I don't think you've ever had any like episode of slipping out. How have you remained consistently on track? What do you think?
Wow. Kingo, one reason I love you is you just go straight to the soul of it. Yeah. No, I've had periods.
Really?
Of struggle.
Okay, I haven't seen
But
them.
most of it's because you knew me when I was already slightly
Also, it was
older.
before, what, 25?
Yeah.
It was before you were at the age of 25?
Because my mother died when I was
my
like
gosh.
18.
Okay.
And then I was in a 7-year sort of like alcoholic sort of paralysis. That's why it took me 6 years instead of 4 to finish university.
Wow.
And Yeah, they were terrible times.
Wow.
It's like the biblical 7-year thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said I never want to ever go back there.
What was that about? What happened? What were the manifestations?
I mean, like I realized I'm not those people who get depressed, like I'm quiet.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll do things like PLO Lumumba is teaching in class. He can testify to this. But I'll come to class like with a quarter bottle of vodka or a sachet and Coca-Cola and just start drinking it there. Yeah.
You hold a public tantrum?
Yeah. Like I'm drinking and he's talking.
You don't do depression?
Yeah, exactly. I don't do depression.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not, and thank God, because that one is, you become suicidal.
Yes, it's true.
It's called acting up.
Wow.
Yeah, I would write nasty poems. Like Justice Ojwang saved me from a guy called Nderitu, the late Nderitu. You're so boring, so you teach us contract and tax law, then I would go and write her is like Piriton, like Professor Piriton, then I stick it up on the notice board. Yeah. And everybody knows I'm the poet. So I don't even bother to hide the handwriting.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm very grateful to the current governor of Makueni, Kivutha Kibwana, because I had a gang against me. Wow. An academic gang. They're just like, I didn't been expelled. They're like, yeah, just get out of this. Yeah? Wow. When I was expelled, my father wept for the Senate committee.
Oh my God.
Working a Professor Indangasi. And it's the first time my father didn't cry when my mother died.
Oh my God.
But not that I saw. He actually was dried, sad dried. Wow. But when I was kicked out of school, he was like, Tony, you're not going to be a lawyer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So he had this dream, and it's ironic that, of course, I'm not a lawyer today.
Wow.
I mean, I've never practiced.
Such
I only
preach.
preach.
Oh, yeah.
But,
I think you're a lawyer on behalf of creatives.
Yeah.
In a very symbolic way, it's like you represent us. in a very, but anyway, yes, you're saying.
Yeah. So, like the time when I was temporarily expelled, I always say I was temporarily expelled, because my father shocked the Senate by weeping. Oh. Yeah, he wept.
A Kisii man.
A Kisii man, and he was a boxer. Yeah, and anyway, I was readmitted, and the person who.
On what basis?
Sympathy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, those people felt. They said, "Oh, his mother has died." They just thought my dad wept. Yeah, because I think I'd been very defiant during my Senate hearing. I didn't care they expelled me.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, I'm done with
They saw this kid is traumatized.
Yes.
He's on a whole other level.
They didn't see that.
Okay.
They didn't think I was traumatized. They just thought like I'm a very bad guy.
Okay.
And I was already working for David McCarley. So I've still ended up in the newspapers.
Wow.
But I'm so happy that I did those, the remaining 2 years of law school.
Yeah.
And that even when they tried to get me later, and I won't say who they are, Kivutha Kibwana stepped in and took my thesis on Wanjiku and the Constitution. And now we've gone full circle. Of course, he's now one of the best governors in Kenya, if not the best. He's the Makueni governor. And I'm writing his book,
This is so...
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Next year, we are doing the book with him. And although ironically, after I finish with him, the other person whose book I'm doing is Governor Alfred Mutua, who is, for him, it says that we are friends with Mutua. He was a journalist.
Oh, yes, I remember Msafiri. I've never forgotten that one.
Yes, and that's why I met him 20 years ago, around the time I was meeting you. The people I met 20 years ago are proving to be the most important people.
Your destiny mates.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, including you. I have no doubt we'll do something great together.
Amen.
Yeah. So creatives need to realize, Kingwa said you don't just want to survive, you want to thrive. You have to be careful to do timing with the rest of the universe, not just what your muse is telling you. Your muse will tell you anything. So this is a political time. And let's be honest, not enough political stories. We are a country obsessed with politics. Not enough has been said about. We don't have enough biographies. We don't have enough memoirs at all in Kenya but we are politically obsessed. Yeah, unless someone like Baba goes out of his way, hires a Nigerian to do Raila Odinga, the enigma, yeah, then that's it. Or a dead billionaire says, like Njenga Karume says, from charcoal dealer to billionaire, and never mentions anything to do with the government. It's like it's alchemy, as Kingo had said. There's a alchemy, and yet they're back to charcoal in one generation. So I would advise my fellow writers, a lot of them, especially the ones who are good at creative non-fiction, that in this period between 2020 August, because we are entering August, until the next election, August 2022, try and tell the story of, if it's Joho, tell the story. It's fascinating for everybody down there at the coast. Link up with him, tell his story. Yeah? People say Siji was a D student or whatever, but he's a very smart man in his own way.
Yes.
Yes, Kingo? Yes. So tell his story. Persuade him to tell the story. He will pay you, but tell him you won't tell the story like propaganda.
Wow.
He should trust you to tell his story. Tell the story of other political parties in this country. Yeah? Right now I've started with KANU.
Wow.
What's ODM? Yeah? It's almost ending. So seek out your local politicians and tell that story. Yeah? I'm very happy that I'm doing KANU. My next 2 years are booked KANU.
Wow.
Dr. Kivuta Kibwana, who's doing memoirs. Professor Kivuta Kibwana, who's doing memoirs. And Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua, who's doing a book on how to govern. Wow. Yeah, because he has also been like a fantastic governor, and he also understands about reaching out to the public. Yeah. We have gone beyond the era where things are just secretive, politicians are secretive, and and that's why for Kingo I brought, you see, all these books. They're all on politics, and people who have either written stories about other people. Yeah. In fact, the only book here that I brought that is my own is this one. Yeah.
Oopsie, sorry.
Yeah. It's okay. That's how politicians also fall.
That's hilarious. So last thing, I have recognized that as a creative myself, one of my key downfalls has been my inability to put structure to things. But I've been lucky, or I've been kimbelembele to go for a lot of entrepreneurial programs which have taught me the concept of structure. And I think that, first of all, right now there's a market, there's a demand, and there's a way that it can be met. So I think it would be great moving forward that we keep on talking about this. I think we need to get someone that will be able to now ground this, someone to administrate it. I don't know how much, because I've been working with Maureen. She came on board recently and she's been excellent. So, but we might need to get somebody else. But I think for me, this is something that we can set up to be an actual program. And you can be like sort of like the figurehead. And then we can.
I like being a figurehead.
Right? It's cool. Like for me, this thing should happen in all 47 counties because it's needed. The resources are there. It's just that the creatives have not been able to reach out to the people who are there because
Kingo, and I know you're very interested, like in transparency and all. So it's time we had stories. You are absolutely right. But that's part of governmental transparency.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, we don't just want the Waititus. Kenya has a story that you are a governor, then suddenly you are a brilliant businessman, like Waititu. Yeah, you own, this is not defamatory, you own Delta in the middle, you own buildings, 2 buildings. 2 years after you have become governor, in the middle of the CBD. Yeah? That type of thing, you became a brilliant, and it's always me and my wife, or whoever, me and my daughter, we started something 20 years ago. Why does it thrive when you have become governor? Why is that thing thriving? Yeah, because of course, you know, it's corruption that is killing Kenya, and they're not just normal corruption, not normalized. It's just where too many resources are taken away, and Kenyans just sort of think that's the normal way.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, The hairdressers, sijui have 60 million shillings.
Sacks of
Sijui,
money.
and then they're in a quarry, they are quarry workers. And, you know, I mean, this type of thing. We need more transparency, and that's part of the function of literature, including political literature.
Wow.
That's part of it.
Wow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll become a society where everyone aspires to be a leader so that they steal.
Yeah.
And then we'll end up with very violent, honestly, that's how violent, yeah, you know, I schooled in Russia a bit.
Yeah.
That's where violent revolutions
Wow.
with blood bodies on the street. Yeah,
Wow.
because not everyone, very few people can be those
Access,
leaders.
yeah.
So if you are going to turn the entire country into a milk trough,
Wow.
you're the pig sucking on the milk. You're drinking all the milk. We are humans.
Wow.
People will rise against you,
Yeah.
and when they do, there'll be
It
a
won't be
destruction
polite.
of class.
Wow.
I don't want my son or daughter, you know, to live through, what are they called? Bloody revolutions.
Wow.
Yeah?
It's not necessary.
We don't want it to be like Rwanda. Kagame is doing a great job now, but we don't want it.
It can easily be like that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah, we don't, you know, I know this is not a program for the Constitution, but like Wakina Kegoro would say, yeah, and because that's what we did, we are constitutional lawyers.
Okay.
You don't keep manipulating constitutions to either stay in power in a bizarre way, because when that finally cracks, the things it will release.
Wow.
Yeah?
All
That's
the
why I said
demons.
only
Wow.
about PV early in the program. I said only. You don't want that.
Yeah.
So let's try to be, you know, let writers play their role.
Wow.
Let politicians be more transparent.
Yeah.
Kama unaiba kidogo. We used to joke about 10%.
So thanks, guys, for being with us. We've been with Tony Mochama. He very generously shared his experience of how he's been maneuvering COVID-19. And what was very interesting was really how he's managed to thrive rather than just survive. So there's 3 key things that we can understand from his story. So number 1, recognize that the season that you're in. So that's one thing that you can harness. So for example, he talked about the political season, the fact that politicians need content. So number 2, figure out who your market is and where your market is. So he has recognized that his market is politicians. They have the money and they are willing to pay for it, and you have what it takes to be able to do that. And the third thing is really just be able to just have that mindset of thriving and surviving, and just that willingness of I can overcome all odds, and whatever season I'm in is a season that I can gain opportunity from. So those are the 3 key things that we've learned from Tony. Thank you so much, Tony, for being so generous with your time and your willingness to share your ideas, because a lot of us don't have that. I think a lot of us our ideas are just up in the sky, but you've managed to ground it. So that was extremely generous of you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tony.
Yeah, it's been an absolute, is this the part I say it's been a great pleasure? Almost as cliche, except that it's been an incredible pleasure, especially it being, you know, like talking with the one and only and supremely unique Kingwa Kamenche.
I feel like I should patent that.
Yeah.
The one and only, supremely unique. We need more. We need more.
Ushaisikia unasema itwa Monata, mwenyewe anaongeza akili nguvu kaa simu kwa tata. Yusikia mseni mwenda azimu ametuacha, lakini tobongache cheo pilipili na baada itakuasha. Ushaisikia unasema.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this particular discussion where I am at Kibera, the place of beauty, the place of magic. I mean, just look at this background. This beautiful wall. Like, I looked at it through the camera and it just looked amazing. And today we are very happy to be joined by an amazing guest, someone that I've heard about from so many of my colleagues, but today is the day that I'm finally meeting him. His name is Otieno Gomba, and he is the founder and president of the Masai Mbili Republic. Karibu sana, Bwana Gomba.
Asante sana, Mrs. President.
All right, thank you. So COVID-19 is all over the country. A lot of people are getting affected, but other people are also finding ways to cope. Mkona wasanii 18 hapa. How have you guys been? Has it been good for you guys? Has it been bad? What's the experience been?
I mean, for us as artists, I think in every situation we have to make it better. So this COVID was international and it's affecting anyone. And as artists, we have this pleasure of first creating awareness here, like community-based artists, which is our duty. It's not our first time doing community-based issues on awareness. So for us, it was a chance of being ourselves again, rethinking again, and doing what we do best, like sharing our experiences with everyone. So we had to do workshops, we had to do cleanups, we had to do like basic community things that would bring sanity into the community.
Okay.
Through art.
Were the workshops for artists alone or just for general society?
No, the workshops were for the whole society.
What were they about?
At times for children, at times for teenagers. Yeah. And the workshops were about creating awareness, like doing murals on the wall and making soaps that would be available for everyone, so that the community would get this value, like this is real, and it's something that everyone has to go through and take care and be yourself.
Okay. And so the soap, you are making it in-house, alafu mlikuwa mnauza, ama you are just giving it for free?
No. We are not selling the soap.
Okay.
The soap was basically showing people how you could have a basic ingredient.
Wow. Oh, the workshops were teaching people how to make soap?
Yeah, and basic ingredient for like sanitization. You know. Then we would put like some points where people just get water, wash their hands. And then there was also doing murals.
Yeah.
Like, you know, murals talk a lot. Even if I'm not there, the mural will tell you, like, do this, do that.
Itakumbusha watu all the time.
And as an artist, you know, you're almost a journalist.
Wow.
You're a messenger. You have to convey some message also, and your experience to the people. And the people also sometimes are traumatized, you know, because everybody's afraid of, is this the way it's going to be?
Yeah.
Or is this same to us, but there's a way you can cope with that.
Okay, wow. That is very, okay. Where do you get the resources to make the soap? Who was funding that? Where did you get the resources from?
I mean, most of it is, as a collective, we have the community department where we do outreach. So most of the resources were coming from...
Which department? Yeah, the county or the constituency?
No. In Masai Mbili,
okay.
We have our projects like community-based projects.
Wow.
So through our community-based projects, we can propose for such a thing.
Okay.
Like the last one was the Ministry of Culture, as you heard, and Sports. It was sponsoring artists to go out there and
create.
Create art. So one of them was that. The other one was
you sent in an application?
Yeah, you sent
got
a
grant.
proposal, and if you can get a grant, sir.
Were you guys able to get the grant?
Yeah, we were able to get the Ministry and Sports.
Oh, congratulations.
So, but it's because of what we've been doing. It's because of art. Art is not only... the art we produce here is not only for the gallery. That's why you see children coming here, coming in, because it's for engagement. It's for people to engage with art.
Yeah.
How can people engage in art? And because art is also a way of therapy.
Wow, amen.
It's a way of coming out of...
Amen.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that you're talking about you see that art is not just usani or just, but yes, that art has a very important role to play in healing. And we walked down with Johan, and he was showing us all the things that you guys have done, the murals and the reminders, and which is such a beautiful thing. And I was just thinking that artists at the heart of it, like they have an interest in society that not everyone else has. Like they really care, they really feel concerned, like wanabeba everything on their shoulders. So I was really impressed and touched and inspired.
Thank you.
But even by all because they're like more than 10, almost 20, the big buckets of soap that you guys, so salute.
Thank you. Amen.
Yeah. So, what else are you doing right now towards around COVID?
Right now, I think the main thing is just about creating more and more awareness.
Okay.
We're visiting people, talking to our friends, and right now getting people to come here, it's so hard.
Okay.
Like everybody's like, hey, Kibera, no goes on. But what we're telling the people is Kibera is still a safe area. Just like any other area. People would come in and share with us what they have. And as long as we are isolated, keeping distance, but then socially we are still doing things that we should.
Okay. What are the challenges that you have faced, if any, as artists around here?
Like right now, as I told you, most of our clients, they can't come here.
Which means less sales, eh?
Yeah, and it also means like even now doing an exhibition would be more hectic. You know, people are still like everybody's down to earth, just isolated. That is a big challenge.
Okay.
But the thing is, not only about the challenge, it's like a way to move on.
Yeah. So how have you responded?
Positive. Oh, negative. Positive. We've responded with like just being ourselves, doing what we love doing most, you know, appreciating the earth again, you know, having the children coming here, doing their stuff, find a clean environment.
Okay, I really love how what you're saying resonates with something that we had been saying earlier. We had a discussion with, there's a lady called Susan Jerry. I think you had mentioned that you did not know her. And what she was doing was getting artists to spread messages in the agricultural sector. And so what you guys are doing is spreading messages, but more in terms of public health and communication. You've been sitting with this, and it looks like a very interesting piece of wood. Is that a leg? Hiyo ni mguu?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was that about? Where did it come from?
I mean, this piece, I did it when I was in upcountry, and I had no materials to work on.
Okay, upcountry ni wapi?
Upcountry is in Kisumu.
Okay. The city itself?
A distance from Kisumu.
Place inaitwa?
Inaitwa Nyakach.
Okay.
Yeah. So, as an artist, I had just to lay down, because, you know, when you're upcountry, you're at home. But those people at home, they think you are a Nairobian. So it's like you are half-half, you know.
Wow.
When I'm here, people tell me you are from Nyakach. When I go there, people tell me from... So during the lockdown, I thought of first day, second day, 3 days, I had to do something. I don't have my brush. I don't have
paints.
Like paints or something like that. So I turned to what can I use? Then art is everywhere, because I realized guys were burning logs just to sell charcoal to make money. Yeah? Then I could salvage some piece of charcoal and just carve out of whatever I had.
Yeah.
So one of them was this. And this one really, for me, it was like a gift from the God.
Wow.
Because somebody was just going to burn it, but me, I saw it like there's something I have to do about this.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, it was just like...
Hii ni mguu?
Yeah.
Okay.
That has been chained.
Oh, wow.
And it's like no movement, no going around.
Wow.
So in any way, as an artist, I'm allowed to express myself. The last thing is not to express it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's so powerful. So thank you so much for hosting us, and all the work that you're doing with artists and for the society and the community.
Asante sana.
All right. The other person that we'll be talking to is a development professional. She's not a creative per se. She's actually in the agricultural world. But what's very interesting about her is how she has been able to work with creatives and give them a lot of opportunities. She's working with more than 800 creatives in more than 21 counties around the country. And there's actually more opportunities for you guys to plug in to what she's doing. So you're going to hear about that. It's a very interesting thing that she's doing.
Hello and welcome to this discussion. We are joined by a very, very special guest. Her name is Suzanne Njeri Kuria. She is a farmer, but she's been doing the most fascinating things with creatives, just bringing them on board one of the programs that she's having. And she has 840 young people in 21 counties, and she's going to be telling us what she does. So her title is, she runs the organization called Committee Fish and Integrated Farm, among many other things, but she will tell us more about herself. Karibu sana, Susan, very happy to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, so I know that you're a very dynamic person. You've had a lot of diverse interests and background. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my background is in community development. I have a very strong passion working with youth and just touching people's lives in a positive way. I think that's the way I'd like to put it. I've had vast experience. I've had an opportunity of working in war-torn countries, had an opportunity working in the north and eastern part of this country and the real hardship areas. And for me, I actually am a very proud graduate of the World University. And I tell guys that my PhD is on thinking on your feet.
Wow.
Because whatever other certification we have, it does not make any sense if you don't have any practicability. So that's what I take pride in that I am flexible, I'm versatile, and I can adapt to any situation. So give me a topic, give me time to learn and understand it, then I'm able to do it. I grew up in Nairobi. I never farmed. So I started farming very late in life, and the minute I got into agriculture, that was it. I took to agriculture and
you felt a connection.
Yes, and it's every day I learn. Wow. And I tell people this funny story is that I had chicken, and somebody walked into my farm and said, "Oh, well, blessed are you, your chicken are about to lay." I had no idea how they knew they were supposed to lay. And much later, somebody said, "Oh, well, your chicken are about to lay on the eggs." And I'm like, how does this happen? So, of course, you look very daft as an employer, asking your workers, "Mtu anajua aje?" So instead, I decided, let me just put my ears out there. So I got to learn and took a lot of interest in agriculture. So for what I have is, I take a lot of time to just visit a regular farmer, take time, learn, and whatever I take, I put into my hard disk, and I'm able to just share that information. So I've grown a network of just information. So people call me an encyclopedia. You need to get some information on this. I'll always know somebody or remember somebody I've interacted with. So I guess for me, that's a grace that I've been able to use in a very positive way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. Thank you. And right now you're running a program with the government and with young people around the country. And I think you mentioned it was called National Agriculture Rural Growth Project.
Yes, it's actually National Agricultural Rural Growth Inclusive Project. So it's NARIG.
Okay.
You never, the P is silent.
Okay.
So this is a project that is funded by the national government, county governments, and the World Bank. It is working in 21 counties, and its main objective is to increase productivity and profitability. Okay. So it's getting it right at production, but just ensuring that what the farmer is doing, it's able to bring together that produce, and it makes mathematical sense for the farmer to have been involved in it from the beginning. So each of the counties that have been selected have 4 value chains that are selected. What is their strength crop? Or what is the strength product of that particular county. Mm-hmm. So if you go to Nakuru, you could find that milk would be their strength product. But if you went to Kilifi, that might not be. It could be cotton or something else, or traditional or indigenous chicken. So the program had an opportunity for youth and needed to find out how best can you take youth, bring them on board to be part and parcel of this. So I came in to work with the youth in what we call participatory education theatre, because their role basically is to sensitize the communities on the project, get more people on board, and help them walk through the journey by being the information channel. So took it a bit further and said, well, these are wonderful. It's good to work with youth. So we picked working with youth in creatives. Now, the youth did not understand where they fitted in agriculture. First day meeting, everybody looked and wondered, what are we supposed to be talking about? So they walked in, got a brief on the project, sat through. Then the next thing I did, I said, let's do a SWOT on who the youth are. Because for me, I wanted them to understand they had a skill and a talent, and they can be able to maximize on that potential if they got steered in the right direction. So by the end of our training, they can dance chicken, they can explain a goat to a person who has no hearing, but could just see, but they can be able to give you a message in whichever way. So mine has been to not only create an awareness to them about agriculture, to help them transform through understanding it, but to also show them that there's an opportunity for them. As we are saying that we have no jobs, there's a lot of opportunity within the agricultural space. Now, when we talk about agriculture, everybody thinks it's about the hoe and the soil. But indeed, there are those who are very good at doing that. But along the value chain, there's so much space for youth, value addition, marketing, innovation and technology, digital information. So it was opening up the youth to seeing what are the possibilities with even what you're doing. Now they came up with scripts on agriculture. They can sing agriculture. We have fantastic music that we are hoping that once COVID is over and the program is back on its feet, that some counties even have a song, on agriculture, which is one thing that no youth in creative thought they would ever get to do. Yeah. So right now I'm working with them on a platform. I have WhatsApp groups, because in total there are 840 youth in the country that I've basically worked with. So it is to encourage them, like, what are you doing over COVID? Have you come up with something over COVID? Do you have a skit? Do you have a song? And quite a number of guys have something. Wow. So their challenge is that because they're in the rural areas for a lot of them, some of them are university students or people who have finished school and are just basically at home. Their challenge, of course, is resource. How do I get a platform? How do I get up there? How do I get known? Who else can I do a message for? Can I do something on health, So that's basically what the agricultural project has been all about. And I'm proud that it reawakened the youth to open a totally different window of what they never imagined that they could have gotten an opportunity to do. Yes.
I mean, that's really powerful, especially that it's 840 young people in the 21 counties. Yes. And the other thing about it is that you are enabling creatives to see that, because I think in a big way, creatives pigeonhole themselves. They think that because I'm a dancer, I can only be in the theater. Because I'm a visual artist, I can only do this and that. Because I'm a musician, I can only make this kind of music. So you're opening our eyes to be able to see that actually, as a creative, what you are is a communicator. Yes. You are a person. You have a platform, you have a tool that you can use to pass on a message. And maybe perhaps the reason that a lot of us have been so broke for so long, we keep on talking about the concept of the broke artist, is that we haven't been able to reveal our relevance to the society at large. Yes. So we sort of like do our own self-indulgent projects, but we don't realize that actually there's a need in the market. People need their products to be communicated, and that is where creatives come in. So I think what you're doing is just very, very eye-opening and extremely relevant and useful right now. And so even the guys who are watching, it's something to keep in mind, to ask yourself that moving forward, you need to start looking at yourself differently. As a creative, you are actually a messenger. You have a gift. You have something that you can do for people. In fact, right now, when people are complaining about COVID being a time of there's no money going around, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to look around and even just ask in your WhatsApp groups or in your circles, like, who needs a message sent out there? Who needs a message, especially with relation to products and services that need to be sold, and then you can either decide I can either create this communication work for you, and either get a commission, and then either do the communication work and market it on social media, or just create the communication work alone and give it to the people, and then you're paid on that basis. So this has been so inspiring and so insightful, and I feel that. So on one hand, I think that the creative sector, we have a lot to learn from the agricultural sector. True. Because Kenya is said to be, like, agriculture is one of our top GDP earners. Yes. And for me, I'm very key that the creative sector has to be one of our top GDP earners at some point. And I recognize that the reason that agriculture is where it is because it was heavily invested in both before independence and after independence. And one of the reasons that the creative sector has been lagging behind us, there's been very little investment. But you're showing how it's possible to piggyback on sectors that are doing very well, and then add, so that then players in the creative sector can then be able to find value out of that. So that's really useful. So maybe the last question would be, is there a way for other creatives who maybe might be watching this, how would they be able to plug into that? Are there still opportunities? When does the project end?
The project is a 5-year project. It ends in 2022, if I'm not wrong. Yes, this is what we've basically done. So in every county that I've worked, the 40 creatives actually get a group registered. So that was our beginning point. Because for me, I did not want us to leave. A lot of projects come, and when they leave, you're orphaned. For me, basically what I'm looking at, a continuity for them. This project has an opportunity for funding. 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, up to 500,000. And not only for the youth, including the vulnerables, including the people at production, as long as they're able to form themselves into groups. And then there's a bigger project that basically covers a very big part of the county. So they've registered themselves in groups. They even come from other groups within their at the ward level. Because this project basically starts at the grassroots, then you come to sub-county, then you come to the county.
Wow.
So at the ward level, they already are in a different group. They could be in the poultry group. But because they are all representative of the county, they form and register a group. So once they've registered that group, they have an opportunity of inviting other youth and creatives to be part and parcel of the journey. So it's not just about them, because for me, the most important thing is reach out to another 5. So as you get the opportunity to transform, so when we finish the training, whichever group that you came from, because they came from different parts of the county, then you had a responsibility to go and sensitize another 2 groups. Who then sensitize another group. So what are we trying to do is making sure that the information must trickle down, but most importantly is I got an opportunity to strengthen my skills or start learning that I had the potential. Because for me is that in creatives, position yourself. And that's where a lot of us are missing. That's the gap. If we can find a way to position, can I be relevant? Am I relevant with the COVID message? Who is my message relevant to? Is it to corporate? Is it to primary school kids? Is it coming to an estate like this and saying, today we want to just talk around the kids and say, hey, this is it, So we must, like you said, we must shed off this curtain and open our eyes wide and say, wow, I can pass a message to this particular. So who am I relevant to? Who's my client? As a farmer, I'm thinking about who do I sell my fish to? All right? So as a creative, don't just think about the TV. Think about who's my client. Is it play school? Is it other youth? Is it the guys at the Matatu stage? What is the message we need to pass that they're interacting with people every other day? How can they protect themselves from COVID? So it's just not getting out there and saying, okay, I've got a general message for everybody, but can I make it relevant for those particular people at that particular time? So there is an opportunity.
And from that, earn money.
And from that, earn money. Again, youth need to understand, you don't become a millionaire overnight. It's a journey. But in this journey, as you climb, you need to climb and bring others up. And you will only enjoy it after you've fallen, gone back, fallen, and then be able to get your grip. Because that's when you realize, wow, I needed to work with another 4 guys. I can't do this alone. I could be very good in composition. He could be very good in singing. Somebody else could be very good in dance. So what we've basically been able to do is we brought together dancers who said they've never acted. And I remember one group, there's a group in Makueni. It's a basketball team in a college. It's a college basketball team. And they said, Sasa Mare, how are we supposed to act? I said, you're going to become those chicken, you're going to become sensitizers. And then they realized they had a target market right within the colleges. Wow. They realized they had a beautiful business opportunity because Makueni has got the processing plant for mangoes. So they could buy the juice and sell it to the students.
Oh my gosh.
But it opened them to understand that as they play basketball, they could always do a session with all the youth who come in who want to play basketball, and they could sensitize and say, do you know there's a program? Do you know there's this opportunity? So you already become a voice. And that's the way we need to turn things around. By looking at what potential do I have? Is it mine only? Can I be able, who can I journey with for this to become relevant? So let's stop thinking about getting rich overnight, but let's think about, we need to dirty our fingers. When I say thinking on your feet, anybody who works with me knows that that's my key word, that you must dirty your fingers. And until you're able to dirty your fingers, so the youth have an opportunity of writing proposals and be able to get funding from the project at their county level, right from the ward level. So I am appealing again in the 21 countries that NARIG is working, that youth need to touch base. I hear this story, they don't give us the youth fund. But you see, it's not the thing of, I'm just writing and assuming that it's right. We need to understand the process. When you're writing and saying, I need 100,000, if you can't manage 5,000, how will you manage 100,000? So we need to humble ourselves, the youth need to humble themselves and come to a point that says, can I learn from somebody? That beautiful entrepreneur selling mama mboga is somebody who has got a tip or two for you. So go back to her and say, how does your business run? How comes you come back every other day? What makes you sustainable? Do you eat all your money? Because when people get money, all the money is eaten. We go spending, we are going to buy new clad, new phone. I think that's the first thing I see youth going to. But then they don't think about, what about tomorrow? So how can I double my 1,000, my 500, and make it grow into my 100,000, 1 million? So there's a lot of opportunity for youth. There's a program that is parallel for the other 24 counties, which is the Kenya Climate Smart Program. Which is just about rolling out.
Is it still working with
creatives? It's going to be in agriculture. There's an opportunity for youth, so we're also hoping that we can work with youth in creatives to be able to do that. But again, it's an agricultural program. There's that. There's agricultural sector development program, ASDSP. So there are a number of programs running. And there's a lot of opportunity for youth, both in creatives and just youth in general. The agricultural space, we need you. We literally need them. We need the creativity in packaging. How do I present my product? How do I present myself? You know, I want somebody to come and say, Mama, as you're going to talk about fish, I'm going to be right back with you because I'm going to come up with this catchy, this or that. So there's a lot of relevance for youth, and youth need to take this opportunity because there's a niche for them.
Yes, there is.
And especially that they are very digital, which a lot of us are not. That's where youth plug in. They have the time to be able to help us through that, so they can actually change the narrative that agriculture is really. People have to eat 3 times a day.
That's true. And I really like what you're saying, that it's not just that what they are learning can also be replicated, the same can be used in the health sector, in the tourism sector, in the sports sector. So actually unemployment is something that could be very soon, or rather eventually, rendered something of the past. So maybe the last question would be, if someone wants to plug in, how do they find out more about it? Is there a website that they can go and register from? What number can they call? Or how do they get involved?
For this particular one, for NARIG, we are trying to form the a national umbrella of the 840, because my prayer is that one day they will even have a conference to meet from Kilifi to Turkana to Nandi and be able to share a platform and exchange ideas and just go through a journey to strengthen each other. So right now what we've done, we have 4 groups that have 10 youth from each of the counties so that they can be able to start a conversation, get to know each other, get to see how can we relate. So for now, I'm currently the one running the PET program.
Is there like a Facebook page, a YouTube?
We are actually in the process of, some of the youth are actually in the process of actually coming up with that. So within the next, I guess by the end of, or the beginning of August, we should actually have a PET Facebook page, and we should be able to have a lot more on social media. So they have offered, a number of them have offered their skills and talents.
The initiative.
Which I say, it's the initiative, and it means that they have something more that they can give, because it's also about giving back. So they got an opportunity. It's the first time that Youth in Creatives had even had the government interact with them. So they were really proud to just imagine that out of a county, 40 of them were considered. So we want them to be the ambassadors for other youth and just say that, yes, it's there. There's a lot of opportunity.
All right.
They just need to know how to position themselves. They need to have the courage to walk into those offices and ask. At times, youth know it all. Now they need to turn around and say, please teach me.
Wow.
Please guide me. And that opportunity is there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for your time. Thank you for being so warm and welcoming towards us and generous with your, we've been willing to share what you're doing. And also, I think you mentioned that you're looking for other places that what you can do, other programs that you can engage the 800 in. So if anyone who's watching this and would have something that you resonated and you think, I need a number of young people to help do this, do feel free to get in touch. You can either get in touch with myself, Kingwa, via Blackstar. You can inbox us on Blackstar Media Kenya on Facebook, or even myself, Kingwa Kamenchu, on Facebook. So thank you so much, and for sharing your words of wisdom and what you're doing. Keep on doing it.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and I wish all the youth the very best and say, the time is now. You can do it.
So we were with the artists at Masaimbili. We met Suzanne, and one cool thing about it all was seeing how the convergence really of these discussions. Creatives who've been affected by Corona, like they were talking about how they're having less viewers at the gallery, but then Suzanne, on the other hand, telling us about some of the opportunities that she's been having, working with creatives to be able to market this farming project that she's working on. So it's been really very interesting time, and a very interesting thing for me seeing again the power of communication, the power of connection, that being able to document these stories just shows us that actually opportunities are out there as long as we're able to be aware of them and reach out for them. A friend of ours, not Kenyan, which was great because he was able to give us a perspective from outside. He's a photographer, a filmmaker, so he had a very interesting perspective of how things are in Kenya and how things are happening in his country, which is Sweden. So guys, we look forward to being with you on this journey. Join us and stay put, stay locked. We are with Johan Lofquist. His artistic name is John Bigod, and we met last year in Ongata Rongai through my daughter Sakida and Tim. And Johan is a photographer, videographer, he's a journalist. You were a journalist for a while.
Media teacher.
A teacher, very passionate about education.
Yeah.
He also sketches. He's just really an all-round artist, because I notice a lot of artists sort of encompass everything. So he actually was the one helped set up the interview here with Masaimbili. I was so honored and happy to meet Gomba and the rest of the crew. Johan has been coming to Kibera on and off for a lot of years. So but right now he lives in Kibera on a full-time basis. So how long have you been living in Kibera full-time?
I've been living in Kibera since 2008, 3 to 6 months every year. And I keep coming back because from my point of view, I think people are so happy here.
Okay. As compared to other places?
As compared to Sweden.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what way?
Can you imagine, Sweden is one of the richest countries in the world, and still I think people are more happy here because it's so much more social life.
Wow.
It's so much closer.
There's a community spirit.
It's a community spirit that really have touched my heart.
Okay.
So I hope that I can become a Kenyan.
All right, you should. And you've been around the whole Corona period.
Yeah.
Like, were you here because of the lockdown, because the flights closed, or did you decide I want to be in Kenya?
I decided that if this shit gonna hit, I would be staying here because I have all my friends here and I can use my camera and tell stories.
And you've been doing a lot. I know you've been working with a lot of fashion designers as well as people who own gardens to help them take pictures.
I'm just helping people that are friends.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So,
and I've been working with Masaimbili since 2012, and now I'm even a member.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Well done. So what has your experience of Corona, COVID-19 been here in Kibera? What's your experience been?
Well, it's been mostly big yawn. We haven't seen anything about it. We have heard all these major alarm reports from Sweden, from Europe, from everywhere, but
Italy and Britain.
yeah, but here we haven't seen it. We have just seen the violence from the police. We have seen the lockdown. We have seen the curfew, but we haven't seen nothing of the disease. And I was afraid that if it spread here in Kibera, shit, it would be a disaster.
Yeah, like raising down everyone.
Yeah. But no, it haven't happened. So I'm so confused. I don't know what it's all about.
And do you think it's going to get worse?
It's hard to say.
Okay.
But I stay as long as I can and try to...
I've just seen this Harambee Arts Let's Pull Together. And for me, what's interesting, one thing I notice about the creatives is just that spirit of community. Like, creatives are always at the forefront of trying to pull society together. So I really love that. Just they're not probably not part of Masaimbili.
No, well,
it's a different group, huh?
Yeah, but they also work together with some projects with the kids and everything. Yeah.
So how many art groups are there in Kibera that you've been part of or you've been working with?
I don't know. It's a lot.
Oh, there's a lot of them, different ones.
Yeah, but I've worked with the 3 so far.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so that means that we have to come back and do like a proper...
Yes.
Like get our hands into all that's happening in terms of the creative sector locally.
People can't imagine how much creativity it is here in Kibera. But people have to be creative to survive, I guess.
I know, right?
Yeah. So it's forced in that sense.
I'd be interested to hear your perspective of creativity and finance. How is it like in Sweden, and what can be done so that creatives in Kenya thrive, at least live very optimal lives?
Well, to have an education, art education in school, it's a shame of a country that don't have a proper art education, isn't it? Because creativity, the creativity kids have, it's just shut down in school, where they never can paint, draw, dance, make music, and it's that kind of creativity that makes people thrive, isn't it?
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. All right. Well, thank you for having us and the intro to this team, and also just updating us with, like I see on Facebook, every day you post pictures about your happenings and the pictures you've been taking. Yeah, so thanks for all that you've been doing locally.
Asante.
We appreciate you, and we celebrate you, and we honor you.
Asante.
All right. So back to what we're talking about, which is Kenyan creatives hacking Corona. And for us, very central to this is the concept of narrative and how one can either buy into the dominant narrative or one can create a narrative for themselves. And for me, having studied with creatives, looked at creatives, been a creative all this time, I think that our biggest power as creatives is really our power to create new narratives, even at a time when the dominant narrative is so strong. So today we are meeting Dennis Ndavi. He is the founder of Mwema.com, which is a communications firm based in Nairobi, and they deal with making ads, creating content, and just helping organizations market themselves. And one of the reasons that we were very interested in Dennis's story is because he started the organization just at the beginning of Corona, when it just came onto the scene. And he has, however, been continuing it, and he's continued getting jobs and getting projects, and just still been working amidst it all. Of course, taking a very digital approach to things. And his story was important because we wanted to find out, like, at this time, how can one present themselves to a customer, a client, in a way that would make, that they would pitch their service or their product in a way that would make the client buy. So he gave us some very good food for thought, especially from the entrepreneurship perspective, which was great because his background is entrepreneurship with BCom. So yes, stay on for that. We are coming back to you on this discussion with creatives, just really touching base with how people are doing in this time of COVID-19. And one of the things that we're very interested in is really this concept of narrative, whereby there's a dominant narrative, whereby COVID means brokenness, unemployment, doom and gloom, disease and death. And today we are joined by somebody who's going to help us demystify that concept, to just help us understand that actually in every time
time of crisis, there's an opportunity for thriving. There's somebody, I think it was Winston Churchill, who says, do not let a good crisis go to waste. So we are joined by Dennis Ndavi, one of the co-founders of Mwema Communications. He has a background of 22 years in the media and entertainment scene, and we are very happy to have him here with us. Karibu sana, Dennis.
Thank you.
Very happy to have you here.
Lovely to be here.
I'm happy. So how has COVID been for you?
It's been a game changer, eye-opener, shocker, stressor, revelator, and so many other things.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I don't know what my take on it right now is, but each day we keep learning new things. And it's also how we react to it and responding to how our clients and the industry is reacting to it. So we're just learning to be versatile and flexible.
Okay. So when we spoke, I really liked how you took the entrepreneurial angle of pivoting, figuring how to realign oneself when a crisis, when something unexpected happens. And so I thought that would be a very interesting thing to talk, to share with creatives. And also the fact that you have a Beacom, your background. I mean, one thing that we've been saying in the creative circles is that we do not have enough entrepreneurial understanding. We do not have enough entrepreneurial learning. And so that has been one of the reasons that has kept us sort of continually being in the same, going round in circles. So maybe the first question would be for you, how are you adapting your business to the new normal?
For me, first, it was about learning. So there's learning about entrepreneurship. But the deeper level now, which is critical, is learning about entrepreneurship during COVID. And it changes so many other parameters. So many things that we held dear and true have to change, which is systems of working, systems of how you interact with clients, and even how you work with your partners. So we had to relearn a lot of things to adapt them to the now.
What are some of the things that you've learned, maybe like the top 3 that come to mind?
Chiefly, I think it's just learning how to have a dialogue with your clients on a purely digital basis. Since face-to-face meetings are basically being phased out, a lot of clients also prefer for you to do it either as a Zoom or a Google Meet. So aligning yourself to that first. So you're scrapping some things from your daily diary. Now it's log in, connect to them, and sell your piece as fast as possible. Number 2 is learning how to work from home. While before you had the comfort of a formal office space, now you have to create your own internal discipline and your own systems to enable you to plug into the commercial conversation while at home. Thirdly, was learning how to interact with your partners and your talent and your collaborators. How do you get them into the conversation when you're not physically meeting? So again, it was just inventing what is our model and how do we work with all our people.
Okay.
So we have board meetings every day, which is me and my brother and our finance, but we do it digitally. So there's no need for moving up and down. We just talk and we try to keep the conversations as short as possible. And then you spend the rest of the day implementing.
And one thing you mentioned was that one of the things that you need to do is, or rather one of the things that you've been asking yourselves is how do you make your proposition appealing to the current business, to your clients' current business challenges? How have you been able to answer that question internally?
To understand your client, you have to ask them the right questions. So things have changed in the business world. So naturally, your client's circumstances have changed. So you can't go back to them with the same type of proposal that you gave them in pre-COVID. First, you have to talk to them and find out how are you adapting? What's changing for you? After you understand what has changed in their fundamental approach and their business plan, that's when you can give them a solution. But you cannot go back because, as we said, it's a new normal. Everything has changed. With the understanding and appreciation of that, you have to go back to them and say, we know things have changed. How have they changed for you? And how can we work with you in this new reality?
So a big part of it is conversations, like just
converse wherever possible. I do a lot more WhatsApp now.
Okay.
Because again, people are also pressed for time. At the same time, I've learned how to present my ideas in as short a space of time as possible. So I'm exploring how to express my ideas using pure audio, pure visuals, because as long as they get what you're saying and you've captured it in a digital, transferable, shareable platform, you're more likely to get traction and a response. So things have changed. Gone are the days where you can shine as long as you're a star in a boardroom. There's nobody in the boardroom.
Wow.
The new boardroom is cyberspace. So how do you conquer that and sell your ideas through that?
That's powerful. What advice would you have for creatives who are sort of caught up by the narrative of everything is going wrong, everything is going dead? So what advice would you have for people who are just out there and trying to figure out, how do I stay afloat in this time? Even pre-COVID, things were not super easy, but now there's a lot more instability in terms of just even in the head space. So what advice would you have for creatives at this time?
The funny thing, in every scenario, even in the worst depressions ever, there are always some people who rise up. So it's never doom and gloom for 100% of all the players. And even right now, there's some creatives who are thriving. There's some companies who are even doing better right now in the crisis. So for creatives, number one, you are not an island. Join the groups and the networks, meet and converse and have conversations with your peers. When you're sharing ideas and networking, you'll never know when the next insight or opportunity will come. But if you chill in your shell, you're not likely to get any traction. It also impacts on mental health. Not all conversations have to be about where's the money. So you have to do other things apart from chasing money. There's your health. There's your well-being. Explore all the other things that tickle and tease your creative juices, whether it's gaming, whether it's running, whether it's going on social media. Stay active, but mental health is really key, particularly in the creative spaces, because we are most prone to just flip out when things aren't going our way. But I advocate for patience and keep talking to your peers and stay in the creative groups, because that's where the opportunities come out. And also keep learning. At this time, if you're not busy, you have enough time to learn something new, and there's so many digital courses online. Find a new interest, explore it, and become an expert at it. There's tons of things to do. And creatives are always restless. Use that restlessness to empower you to be a better creative.
Okay, that's a good one. Maybe just the last question is, are you finding yourself busier than usual? Are you taking on creatives who are looking to get advertising sort of projects? Are you in that space?
We have, again, because of entering the conversations, there are a lot of creatives who are approaching us. They're saying, hook me on. Put me on to your next project. Yes, we'll have those conversations with them. At the same time, we're finding ourselves working harder and longer hours than before when we were formally employed. And that's one of the dangers of working from home. So you have to implement new measures to restrict your working hours, because it's a new discipline. So there's a lot of people who are overworking now because of working from home. Number two, as much as we can, we try to plug in all our creative partners into the projects that we do. But there's a lot of creatives out there who are looking for stuff to do. So we need a lot more new startup companies just engaging these guys, because they're there and they're ready to work. And it's not about money. Money doesn't matter if you're not using your talents to the fullest. And being idle would be a greater frustration than being broke.
I actually did not ask you to say some more about what you do as Mwema Communications, because the reason I asked the previous question was I was going to ask you to give your contacts if any person would want to reach to you. It could be social media, but maybe also the opportunity for you to just maybe say a bit more about what Mwema Communications does, so that people can be more aware.
Mwema Communications is a 360-degree communications agency. So we do everything from creative concepts to production, to digital, to experiential. We believe in integrated marketing solutions. So you don't use just one single platform. You start with the first idea that's based on a deep insight. From that deep insight, which leads you to the great idea, you execute it across multiple platforms, whether it's outdoor, radio, TV, digital, experiential, or anything else. But we are believers, it all starts with the big idea, no matter what kind of communication that you're doing. In doing that, that's why we engage numerous partners who are specialists in different fields, so that a client can get a full holistic campaign.
Okay. So, like, you work with designers, you work with musicians,
videographers, audio producers, video producers,
script writers,
the works, translators, because sometimes it has to go to another country or be translated in different vernaculars in Kenya. So yeah, we're versatile.
All right, nice. Okay, so guys, now you have a fuller understanding of what Dennis is doing. Dennis and Eric are doing at Mwema Communications, as well as tips for yourselves out there during this time. So thank you so much for your time and your just being willing to speak to everyone and share your experiences.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Hi, and we are in the beautiful neighborhood of Kibera, and I am joined by 3 amazing artists. Like you can see this mural behind me on this water tank. They were part of it. They have done so much in terms of just sensitizing the community by making such murals, such paintings. So just, like reminding people wear your mask, reminding people to sanitize, reminding people to remain 1 meter away. And for me, like, this is such a beautiful and powerful thing. In fact, I think the whole of Nairobi, you people who live in South B, South C, Lavington, wherever you live, you need to learn from these guys. Like, there's such a beautiful community spirit here. So maybe to begin with, I'll just introduce my colleagues over here. Black Odhiambo, salimia watu.
Habari zenu kabisa.
Tell them a bit about your art and what you do.
My name is Black Odhiambo. I'm a rapper and a poet at the same time, a student at Masai Mbili, and I've been learning to do art. Then the COVID thing came and we were part of the campaign and we aggressively did it together with the community and with the other artists.
Asante sana. Na hii COVID imekupelekaje? How has it been for you, the experience?
The experience has been strange, weird, and sometimes confusing.
Okay.
But all in all, we're fighting it, and sanitization continues.
Amen.
Right.
Thank you so much, Black. And then next to me is the very handsome gentleman, Mr. Vincent Masinde. Karibu sana, Bwana Vincent.
Yo, highway.
So you got, go ahead.
My name's Vincent Masinde. I'm part of Masai Mbili Arts Collective. And according to this pandemic, especially COVID-19, we did a lot of murals, trying to send some message to the community around sanitization especially. And from this, we experienced a lot from each other. And then it's like a new dedication to all of the community. As you see the message all around us, those are the ones we're trying to send.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, we are joined by Xavier Makoha, who has an amazing voice. I'm trying to convince him to become the next Barry White. Karibu sana, Xavier. Maybe just introduce yourself and your art and say something about how Corona is taking you, as we say it.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Xavier Makoha. I'm an artist. Artist in general, somewhat. I'm somewhat an artist in general because I rap, I paint also. I try a little bit of sculpting and other things, other art-related things, yeah. And for the COVID-19, I can say that we've tried to inform the community as artists, and we've worked together also with some non-governmental organizations to inform the society on how to protect themselves from the COVID-19 and how to stay safe.
Okay, so guys, thanks for hanging out with us as we hang out with our friends at the Masai Mbili Republic. Very happy that they hosted us here and just exciting seeing what they're doing. So wherever you are, there's a lot to learn from these guys. Come and see what they're doing. Come and buy their art. I usually say don't support their art. Buy their art because it's beautiful. And in the meantime, stay safe, sanitize, and...
Dunga mask.
Yes, Dunga mask. So we've had a really good afternoon here in Kibera, in Bombolulu area, a place that is known informally as the Masaimbili Republic, and it's because it houses the Masaimbili Art Studios. Like we have met the Masaimbili artists, who's a group of about 18 artists, and they just really come together to create, as well as they have a studio where they a sort of like exhibition room where they are able to show their work. And what's been inspiring really is the way they've taken ownership of the community and sort of in terms of sensitizing the community, taking leadership in terms of giving them the message like Corona is here, but this is what you need to do to survive. So like you can see, this is on one of the doors. Stay home, keep distance, 1 meter away, like this is just on the doors. I really loved this one, just all the color, the explosion of color. So like, and the way it's put, where Corona is like this evil virus that's attacking everyone. And yeah, so I thought that was extremely inspiring. And if you walk around, you'll notice that you see a lot of these murals all over the place. And I love that because that's artists stamping their presence, stamping their authority, which I feel that we need to do more of. I feel that we need to do more of as creatives, just recognizing that we, wherever we are the leaders. We have a role to play in the society, even if we don't always understand why we might not look like we are thriving the way everyone else does. I think that we still do have a very important role to play. And just part of what we've been looking at is thriving and the question of how that, is it all doom and gloom? Can the narrative be changed? And we've talked to some artists, some people in the creative sector, showing us some of the different things they are doing, new projects that were never there before COVID, others continuing with what they are doing. But one thing about the Masaimbili is just, it's not even so much thriving in the sense of making money, but thriving in the sense of having their presence felt in the society, like putting a stamp on who they are and their role in the society, which is the role of communicators. And I think that that's something that we easily forget a lot of the time. We forget that at the core of it, what we do as artists is we communicate. We try to tell we tell stories, we share experiences, we connect people. And I think that's really something, a very powerful role that we have been given, and I think that we have a lot more to do. So thank you for being part of us in this documentary, and we look forward to being with you the next time.
MC fulani alidai uchungu ni mwanzo kupona, but ni ufanyika shida zingine zikianza kugo